Alright, hey guys. Today what we're going to be doing is placing a lower control arm and ball joint, which is the thing that is wrong in my car, which is this thing right here. It comes with this little protector thing over top on a 2010 Mazdaspeed3. So stay tuned. Alright, so if your car is kind of making like a clunky noise when you guys are going over bumps, or if you're turning, something like that, there's a couple things it can be. In my car, it's actually the lower control arm, which we are replacing today. First thing, what you guys got to do is you got to jack your car up. If you guys don't know how to do that, there's lots of videos out there on how to do it. I'll show you once I get this up, but I put one jack stand under here with the jack laying right here, which all I used is just like a 3-ton low profile jack, which is there. And then I just placed it where the cross member is, or the pinch welds, sorry, where the pinch welds is, which is right here. I'll go over what type of tools you need at the end, because obviously I might need more than what I think right now. But the first step is get your car jacked up like that. I might have to jack it up a little higher depending on how much room I have under there. But yeah, first step obviously is just take off your tires. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so a good way to tell, you wouldn't want to do this if you didn't actually have to. It could have just been easy, Front end noises can also be those sway bar links, which are right there. Those can also rattle around, which mine are bad right now too, but there's a really big clunk that's going on, or a louder clunk. A lot of people will say that it's your ball joint, and right now, basically, this control arm's fine. I could keep it, but you pay for the actual whole control arm, then you don't have to actually have a press to put this back in and all that good stuff. And sometimes you break them anyway, so you might as well just buy the whole thing, which are already pressed down for you and it's under warranty. But basically, a way to check this, just kind of put a crowbar in here like this, and if there's any play at all, so as you guys, maybe you won't be able to see it too well, but as you can see, it is moving very easy right there. As you can see, that means that it's pretty well shot. There shouldn't be any movement like that at all, and it's super easy. I'm barely putting any pressure on that whatsoever, so it's got to go. All right, guys, so next step is to take off this front brake caliper just to give yourself some more room. Basically, what I'm going to do here is, I guess I already kind of have to. I'm bad at doing this without my GoPro. You're going to take these 2 slider bolts out. So it's these ones right here. There's a little dust cover that goes over the top of this right here, sorry. So you should see that. So it should be, sometimes there'll be like a black cover there. You just take that off, and it's actually an Allen key. So an Allen key socket. I had to use like a big extension for the first one just because of the brake cable that was there. But anyway, so I don't know what size this is. If it says on it, 7 mil. As you guys can see right there, so it says 7 mil. I use an extension just to get it that. So super awkward to see this, but as you guys can see, probably right there, there's just 2 bolts. So there's one up here, and then there's also one down there, which are just the slider bolts. If you haven't changed your brakes in a while, it'd be good to kind of grease these up. Just put a little bit of brake grease on this as well, just because these are sliding in and out, and you don't want those to seize up on you. So that's all I'm gonna do right now is just take those both off, and then this caliper will just kind of slide off. All right, so the next part to get this caliper off, I totally forgot, is there's these little clips that are right here. They can kind of be a pain. I'm assuming it's gonna be harder to get back in than it was to get back out, but basically they go in like this, and then you'd kind of use like a flathead screwdriver to push this back in and kind of keep those tight for basically the caliper to stay on the brace, or the metal bracket that's right here. So what I just did is I just slowly used one of these, kind of pried underneath like this and moved back, and then I'd work down and move back and do the same thing. So that's basically it right here. So the caliper is off. I can easily just pull it off right now, but I just wanted to show you guys. I like to push the caliper, or sorry, not the caliper, the piston in a little bit. So I just kind of used a screwdriver like this, and I sort of just pushed in. Left a little bit of a mark there, but it's nothing too serious. As long as you're not on the actual pad itself, which is this is kind of just the metal bracket they use just to kind of give yourself a little bit more leeway, so this easily just kind of can go back on, because sometimes obviously they fit on there to begin with, but it just makes it a little bit easier just to kind of pop on. Also, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this off like this, and I'm just going to zip tie it to the spring just so it's out of the way, and then I'll take this off. This should just easily, it'll easily just pop off. Sometimes these get stuck on if they're old and rusted, but I was lucky today. All right, so next step is to get the ball joint bolt, which is this 14 mil, which is right here, to get that loose. So what I'm gonna do basically, sorry for the wind too, I use a little bit of rust check penetrating, so I just sprayed that on the back of the bolt. As you guys can see right there, I've been letting that sit for around 5 minutes now. I also sprayed the two 17 millimeter bolts that are back there. Just let them sit because those can be a little bit tough as well. So what you're gonna do on this is you're gonna have your 14 millimeter wrench gonna get down. So as you guys can see, I got that 14 millimeter wrench just like that. Obviously I'm not gonna be able to show you what I'm gonna do, but I'll tell you before I do it. So I'm just gonna hold this probably up like this just to kind of keep it stable. And then I'm just gonna put my air socket. If you guys don't have air tools, you know, that's totally fine, but I'm just gonna put my air tool like that, have my other hand on the other one, and I'm just gonna work that out slowly. If it takes a little bit of time, that's all right. I didn't put any rust check on this yet, just because I don't want it to slip. Usually is the way that you want to do it, is put it on the back of the bolt to let it kind of seep in that way instead of making it slip here, because you don't want to strip this. You do get an extra bolt, this bolt in the new control arm that you get, so if you do strip it, you know, you can torch it off or use some heat, whatever you need to do that. So hopefully I don't do that, but that's what is my next step. So as you guys can see, I got this bolt off, so the nut's off in the back now. All right, so you can't unscrew this bolt anymore. So what you're gonna need to use is, you're gonna have to use a pick, something like this, and a hammer, and I'm just gonna place it on the back of the bolt. So again, it's hard to show you guys, but it's gonna be on the back of the bolt, and I'm just gonna hammer that out. All right guys, so I already got one out of the mount. I should be even able to show you this, but basically let's just get these two bolts right here out as well. I'm not left-handed, so it's kind of hard to videotape this. I don't have my GoPro, which sucks, but you're just gonna take it off basically just like this. So on to the next part, which is gonna be this one here. And what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna take off some of this plastic. So there's two little bolts right here. I'll just ratchet those off and just be able to pull this down. So basically, yeah, that's gonna be my next step. So we're pretty much all done that. As you can see, the inside of this is pretty rode off as well. The grommet's kind of all rusted and cracked. So it's good to tell that. This should have some moving it now once you have a pry bar on it and everything. And then we'll move to getting this ball joint out. All right, so next step is to take off the 19 millimeter bolt right here. I had to get this, I just got it enough so I can pull it down like that and get my hand in. But as you guys can see there, I just got the air gun right on top of that. Air tools make this so much easier, by the way, but you can do it without them. But anyways, yeah, so I'm just gonna take that bolt out and then I'm gonna work on getting this out right next. All right guys, so that was pretty much, it was a pretty big pain in the ass to get that ball joint out. So basically all I did was just use this, right? So I used this, put it in between like I showed you guys before, and I just beat it all the way in, and then I just worked in and out, in and out. I actually turned the wheel so I could get my hammer to be able to hit it a little bit harder, and I found that loosened this up a little bit. But now I got one side super loose, which is this one, and now I got to work on getting this over here. And basically it's just inch by inch. As you can see, I got a little bit off there right now, but it's just super awkward to get this off. You need, you know, a few pry bars, all that kind of stuff. I don't have any big ones, but I'm using this on the end of that there. The handle's broke, just to get a little extra torque. And then I'm gonna just kind of have one here as well, so I can pull this down so it doesn't you know, ruin my rotors here or anything like that, just because that would not be good. I already got a little bit of dirt, I guess, on the side of them, but again, you just want to be cautious of that. So all right guys, just a little side-by-side comparison of the two control arms that are off. So this is the one right here. Obviously the ball joint was pretty much toasted in there. You know, there's a lot of easy movement. You should not be able to do this with your ball joint whatsoever. But anyways, yeah, obviously the grommet, which is right here, it just busted over time. Probably the regular, the first ball joint that was ever in it. So this is what the new one looks like. So as you guys can see, I cannot move this at all. There's no twisting, there's no turning. So anyways, yeah, so now basically what's gonna go on is you're gonna do the exact same steps, except you're going to, you know, do them in reverse. Obviously, I think this is gonna be a little bit more difficult. just because I think moving it in there and getting it in the right place is just going to be a little awkward. But I'll keep you guys posted on everything step by step again, just to say which one was difficult and what ways I did to make it a little bit easier. So alright, I'm just going to show you guys the most difficult part of the reinstall of this. As you guys can see on the screen, there's actually a sway bar bushing right there, and the sway bar links and the sway bar itself actually need to go on top of the lower control arm that you're putting in. And I noticed that there wasn't really much room, or I actually had to really pry the sway bar back up to basically get some sort of space between where I could put the actual metal bar underneath the sway bar and the bracket that goes over top to actually screw it in. So that was the most difficult part, and what I had to do is I wouldn't do this if these aren't already bad, but as you guys can see on screen right now, these are the sway bar end links. I actually just put like a jack underneath one of them and kind of just pried it up, so that actually gave me enough leverage to get the actual lower control arm underneath that bushing, and it let me get at least half of it in, and then I just kind of jimmied it in with a little bit of grease and so on and so forth. Overall, it wasn't too bad. The wheel bearing getting back in was super easy. Other than that, no problems at all. So I hope this video actually did help some people out there. If you guys have any questions, don't be scared to post it in the comments. I'm always looking at them. I always have my phone on me, and you know how we do it on the channels. We always play it off with some music.